Welcome everyone to the second round of the ZIRA Evolution Championship in the Semi-Pro division at Spa-Francorchamps. I'm Mark Albertini, and today I will be joined by my ex-teammate and good friend of mine, Paitsi. Paitsi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Good evening to all viewers. I would like to welcome everyone. I hope we will have an exciting evening here at the Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah. What do you think about the track, Paitsi?
It's one of my favorites. I really like it. I think everyone is on the same opinion as me. It's a legendary track. It has history.
Yeah, I'm sure as you remember, ZIRA held the Masters of Endurance races earlier last year, and one of them was the 4 hours of Spa, which was an incredible race for you. Cause if I'm not wrong, you won that race.
Yeah, alongside you.
Yeah.
I had, I had great support the that race. So yeah, that is a special moment.
Yeah. But for now, we're gonna commentate some Group 4 racing, shall we? Um, and wait for yeah. The track, Spa-Francorchamps. We just talked about it. It's the longest track in the calendar, 7 kilometers, 18 turns, 3 sectors, and there will be 14 laps with no mandatory tire change. And the Great Star will use the false start check feature, and we'll have a Great Start. But there's a quirk, because the Semi-Pro division will use the normal spa layout, while the Pro division will use the 24-hour version. So Semi-Pro will start on the Grand Prix straight, and the Pro division will start on the straight going down to Rouge. Yep. This is the Mazda 3 Group 4, and Paitsi, what do you think about this car?
Well, it is a Group 4 car. It's front wheel drive, so it is very understeery. Uh, I expect it to to have high tire wear throughout the race, even with the hard tires. Uh, because this track is just eating the tires. So I'm excited about how the strategy will build up.
Yeah, we have seen in the previous round of Barcelona that the drivers were struggling on tires, and we could have had pit stops if the surf didn't crash on us mid-race. But because of that, we gave half points to the the top 9, with Katsaros taking the win ahead of Turok and Tashnadi, with Zidek in 4th, Zekares 5th, Ferreira 6th, Nagi, Stirbo and Lukas and finishing the points positions. But it was a fairly good race until the servers committed non-existing at around lap 16. But yeah, the Mazda seems to cause a lot of tire wear on the front tires. So it will be interesting to see if the drivers can preserve the tires for many laps. And as we wait for qualifying, um, any predictions for the race, Spitzy?
Well, looking at the standings, I expect Katsaros and the guys from Brown GP to be in the top three. But keep an eye on Pa Zidek because is an elite driver. He's from Acta Racing and he's fast. I raced him quite a few times, so he's one to look out for.
Yep. Um, I'm gonna so right now just waiting for qualifying. I currently have no clue. I currently don't have an idea when qualifying is gonna start. So I would like to shout out the stream director Tushka Balaj, who is directing the stream, and yeah, right now the cars are not doing qualifying, I guess, because qualifying is gonna start in 5 minutes, but we can just admire them going through this beautiful track, shall we? Paitsi?
Yes, yes, surely. Let's see what designs the team have made for this round. I don't know if anyone have made some special one, uh, especially for this round, but just
Yeah,
keep an eye.
I have no clue if teams have made special designs, but they all look pretty nice. And I think they're using the same ones as Barcelona, but nonetheless, they're beautiful designs. So yeah, let's just take a bit of a tour around Spa, shall we? With Vashkor, who currently is third in practice, as he breaks for the chicane, which is basically three hairpins going uphill, and you have to take a lot of curb on the first one, and you gotta be careful on the exit, because this car real has a lot of understeer. But we jump to Tarok, who is in the second sector and is going down to the hairpin. Uh, it's a very tricky corner, downhill braking, and you have to take a kind of V line in this corner because you keep going downhill and you lose the grip, and then you come to No Name, a very tricky corner for any car, and you have to be careful on exit because the Astro is there to get you. But you go downhill again, but this time you're going up to Puon, a very a relatively fast corner for these cars. But it's tricky because you got Astro on both on the exit twice. When you come down to this awesome section, which it's another medium speed section, and you can take quite a lot of curb on entry on exit. When you come to Stabilo, medium speed corner, right hand corner that leads to up to the pull fair curve, which is an almost flat turn in most cars, and it's the long way down to Blanchimont, which is um, an almost flat out left-hander. You can just take a lift uh, in Group 4 cars as shown by Torok, and once you come here, you go up, you break uphill for the chicane, the double hairpin, where you can take a lot of curb, but you have to be really careful on exit because you have Astro, and the car will understeer on you. But uh, but if you get it right, you'll get a very nice exit going down to La Source, which is the first corner. But now we see Tokesh currently in P6 in practice, taking the exit as you can, being careful with the throttle and with the gears as he comes to La Source. And nope. And yeah, we're gonna start qualifying soon. So um, yeah, I honestly think it's gonna be a good session. Right. The Spa kinda it is a long track, but since it's so popular, I kind of expect people to be a bit close, you know? Don't you think the same, or do you have a different idea?
Yes, yes, I agree with you. The track just provides great racing. It has a lot of space, very much uh, of overtaking chances.
Yeah,
You can almost overtake anywhere you want. Of course, if you can stick around. So yeah.
yeah. And now qualifying is underway. We have 10 minutes of qualifying. no slipstream is allowed. So that means you cannot follow, uh, like directly behind, another car, while you're in your qualifying lap. So the drivers will have to space themselves out in order to not violate this rule. Um, but this kind of means that the drivers, uh, like the lap times, will be representative of the driver's pace. So right now they're on their out lap, and they'll just warm their tires up, trying to be chill all around before um, going all in for their qualifying laps. And since it's a long track, the drivers don't have many laps to use. But they'll be thankful that they'll be racing in the dry conditions all race, as we've seen in the forecast before the race that uh, the worst conditions the semi-pro race can have are just cloudy conditions. So I'm sure the semi-pro drivers are glad to not be racing in the rain, unlike the pro drivers, which will have to endure uh, torrential monsoon rain, um, as illustrated in the weather forecast that I got shown before the race. So yeah, everyone is coming down to uh, Stavler and Paul Frere. Uh, Louis, our our man and ZIRA driver, uh, making his second appearance in semi-pro for Haba Racing Team, going down to Puon. Uh, and as most of as an what as some of you will know, Louis was one of the commentators for ZIRA up until a few months ago. I mean, he's still a ZIRA driver, but he also did work as a safety car in the Pro Division for the formation laps. But now we can see Laco starting his lap, but hmm, uh, wait, isn't there like someone directly behind Laco? And Laco goes straight off, goes very wide at the source. Um,
Yes, Turkish is following him closely behind. I don't think it's allowed to gain an advantage from the slipstream. He surely has to let go of the throttle
yeah,
or slow down because then his lap won't count.
yeah. So this is gonna be investigated by the stewards, hopefully. After this, I cannot see the driver, but I assume it's Tokesh, given the color of the car. Um, so Tokesh, using the slipstream of Laco, um, in qualifying. So yeah, we already got some controversy, and we're not even um, if you 5 minutes of qualifying yet.
Well, you could see Turkish flashing his lights in the long straight. So I think he wants Let's Go to pull over and let him. So
Yeah,
this is interesting. But
yeah,
because Let's Go is in front, oh, and
yeah.
he let
Latico
him
made a mistake.
he let him go in front.
Uh, so yeah. Tokesh had no right, like, Tokesh had no right to flash the lights, cause he started a lap behind Latsko. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
so it was his responsibility to um pull the gap, to like extend the gap to Latsko. Um, currently, maybe Latsko didn't lift enough. I cannot tell, but I think. Yeah, the gap is pretty big. Uh, but this has been reported to the stewards. Zikaris goes on provisional pole. Zidek goes on provisional pole. Stirbo gets up to P4. Stratos gets provisional pole. Uh, so Stratos, the Barcelona frontrunner, is on provisional pole once again, but this time by oh no, his teammate steals the provisional pole. Kulinen, the Greek man from GTGC takes provisional pole by almost half a second. Wow, a 29.7 from the Greek driver. So it's the GTGC 1-2, with Kulinen first and Stratos second. Uh, and we're already halfway through qualifying, so uh, it's a bit on the line. The drivers have like 2 to 3 laps to use, and that's it. But as we go on board with Kulinen, he doesn't manage to improve on his sector 1 time, but he'll surely be wanting to improve on his quality lap just so he has a bigger advantage to P2. But as he goes down to the hairpin, takes the V line and goes down to no name, takes a lot of the curb on entry, goes a bit wide, but uh, gets the exit pretty good. Gets down to Puon, goes down to fourth, takes curb on the entry and on the exit, goes up to fifth, then takes some curb on exit, doesn't hit the Astro, and then goes down to fourth, third. And okay, I'm running out of voice. It goes up to fourth, going down to Stavolo, goes down to third. But he's doing some very nice cornering, I must say, and he manages to gain some of the time lost in sector 1, just being within a tenth of his personal best lap time. But Kulinen is showing himself as one of the strongest drivers in this qualifying session. Let's go, man, just to improve. Zikaris manages to improve too, but they can't. Oh, Zidek takes provisional pole away by 1/10. Stratos manages to improve, but he doesn't take pole. Kulinen makes a massive mistake at the chicane and gets himself stopped. Reverses, so he can relaunch himself, but he has one more lap to use. That mistake was costly because he was on a pretty good lap up to this point, and as you see again, he stopped because he was about to miss the corner, but then reversed so he wouldn't get in the way of other cars and could start another lap. But Zidek on provisional pole with 1 minute and a half remaining. So, let's go. Let's see. Let's go in P9, 1.3 seconds off the pole. A special mention to Louis, who is P10. But we're going board with Let's go. Going down to no name. Doesn't take as much curb as Kulinen did, but takes curb on the inside and on the outside. Takes a bit of grass with him. Goes up to fifth, and as he prepares for Puan, he's gonna brake fourth. He's gonna accelerate quite early. Goes up to fifth to try and get some turning to avoid the Astro actually. Goes down to this. Very nice. Complex, 2 sweeping corners, which kind of feel like S's, extended S's. He goes down to Stavler, third gear, gets on the accelerator quite late and almost hits the Astro, but he's improving by a good 0.5 of a second. He goes up to fourth, manages to avoid the Astro, goes up to fifth, and is going up to Puon and he is the last driver. Sorry, he's gonna be the first driver to cross the line to end of qualifying with 10 seconds to go. He cannot make another lap. So it's all or nothing here. So it goes down to first, goes up to second, tries to avoid understeer on the exit, Now the chicane. Will he manage to improve on his time? He does. He gets up to 4th, but what have others behind him got? Currently no improvements being shown. Let's go. Currently P4. Stirbu improves, but he doesn't get himself in the top 8. Vashkar. Oh, Pereira gets up to P5. Um, um, yeah, that's a good qualifying position. Vashkar can Vashkar improve? No, he can't improve, and no other drivers have improved so far. So it seems like the Zidek will take both. Tachi manages to improve, but that's only P10. Louis stays in P11, and so Zidek takes pole over Stratos and Kulinen, and Stratos did manage to steal second place from Kulinen in the middle of qualifying, but what a lap by Zidek, who takes a pole by just a very slight margin, actually 22 milliseconds. Um, but Kulinen is not far behind, so I expect to see um, about between those three. But remember that Stratos was really good on tires um, in Barcelona, and he stayed out like very long, and eventually got a very good result in the end. But after the final, whoops, we saw Schillerbo in P14, but what an amazing qualifying session, don't you think, Paitsy?
It really was. I'm actually surprised that the team who is leading the championship, none of their drivers are in, not even the top 5. So, but GTGC is on the 2nd and the 3rd spot. So this is a huge chance for them to gain massive points on Brown GP. And maybe they have a chance to bring home a 1-2. But for until then, they have to overtake Zidek, which won't be really easy task to do, because Zidek is well known for his tough defending. So I think it will be really exciting on the top of the leaderboard.
Yep. The driver's on the grid, ready for the race start. But yeah, we know Zidek from last season. 1, 2, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, and the second round of the ZIRA Evolution Championship Semi-Pro Division is underway, with Zidek maintaining the lead going down to turn 1, with Stratos on the outside looking for an opportunity, but Kulinen makes himself known on the inside, but eventually loses a position. But so far so good, and we have someone going wide on turn 1. I couldn't quite
It was
couldn't
one
quite
of
see
the
who that
Brown
was.
GP cars. There was a little bit of push around
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah, but so far a clean start with Zidek maintaining the lead over Stratos and Kulinen. We see Vashkar on the attack of Ferreira. Stirbu goes up to P10. Sorry, from P13. So Stratos takes the lead from Zidek, shown on the live timing. But yeah, so I guess the pass happened right in the braking, but GTGC have taken over the lead at the moment, with the German leading the Slovakian driver and teammate Kulinen. So that was a pretty clean start for Spa standards. Let's go already up to P4 with Ferreira dropping down to P6. But so far so good. No incidents apart from some argy-bargy on the extra turn 1. But yeah, that was a clean start, wasn't it, Paitsy?
It really was. It really was. GTGC didn't hesitate a bit, and they quickly moved to the first position, and now they have the advantage because it's a 2v1 situation against Zidek. So with the great teamwork, they are really have the chance for the 1-2.
Yeah, but that's well, we apologize for that. That wasn't meant to be shown. Um, but
Some technical issues.
yeah, but I do wonder. Uh, yeah, teamwork will play a part, but for how long will teamwork last? Because there will be a point where the drivers will be thinking about their championship as we see Tashi going very, very wide and actually going straight off. But some bit of contact going there as Tashi brake way too
Ooh,
late for the chicane. Um, but yeah, you gotta wonder how long the GTGC team are gonna last. As we see a replay of Tashi um, going through Blanchimon and up there chicane where he's gonna brake really, really late and he's gonna go to the inside to try and avoid the collision. But oh, so close, and there was some contact, but he did well to avoid a major accident, and maybe was quite lucky. But he did a pretty good job to avoid the monumental crash. But Stratos has already pulled a 6 tenths gap on Zidek, who has to
and
defend
Cullinan
from
is
Kulin.
already
Kulin
and
on
around
the
the
outside.
outside he goes,
Oh, there's contact,
and there's a
and
little bit
Zidek
of
goes off.
contact.
Oh, that's hard racing. That's hard racing. Kulinen shoves
Yeah,
Zizek off Lecombe, and
I
I
think Cullinan got a little bit of dirty tires on the curb, as you can
nah
see, and
nah he had a very tight line, so he couldn't steer. He couldn't take a lot of speed into the corner. But
yes,
I'm
but this gives Jidak
uh
valuable time.
I mean Kulinen kind of braked himself on the outside, but he managed to keep it on the track. Just that the line that he had to take for the second apex was really tight, so he couldn't do much. So
Yes,
he was in a um, he was in a very tight position. But Zidek falling down the order, currently down to third. Oh, Latko
had a really
has a massive
big
tank
momentum.
flapper. Yep. But Zidek seems like he doesn't have the pace to even fight for a podium, as we see the GTGC driver pushing Latsko to possibly uh, do some teamwork to pass Zidek. Um, but yeah, bold move by Kulinen. Uh, and I'm pretty sure that Zidek will not be happy about it, but Latsko goes in the Asher on the exit of Longchamon. That will allow Fatakos. Oh, and he goes. They both go very wide. With the GTGC
Yes,
driver.
dirty
Oh,
tires are
yeah.
screwing with them, and they are now under attack by the MSRT, one of the
Ferreira.
MSRT cars.
It's Ferreira
Yes, by
who.
Ferreira.
Oi! And he goes and he makes himself known on the inside, but he doesn't go for the attack. And Latsko goes wide once again, and will allow Fatos to attack him. But Latsko has a half-second penalty for track limits, and that will severely hurt him as they go side by side going up to Rouge. But Fatos lifts just so they can go single file for there, and a push happened as Latsko couldn't carry enough speed. Ferreira takes a zip trim and goes past Fatos, with Jekeres uh, trying to see if he can gain a position too. But is Jekeres gonna gain a position? It looks like it, but Fatos is racing him hard, and Fatos drops down to P6, and Jekeres stays in 7th. But Ferreira, the Portuguese man, up to 5th position and on the attack of Latko. But he goes on the answer going down to no name, and that will allow Fatos to be very, very close to him going down to Puron. And who will come out on top? Is Fatos gonna lift, or is Ferreira gonna edge him on the outside? No, Fatos regains the position on the inside of Puron, but that Argy didn't really help Fathers, as he is a long way back on Latsko. Um, yeah,
A
And
little
as you
bit of
see,
technical moment here.
yeah, we had a technical issue, but yeah, this is this is a good move by Fatos, who regains the two positions, who regains like one of the positions that he lost. Jeez. A bit of a technical issue once again. Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, Latsko has served this penalty. Uh, but since the penalty was so low, oh, Fathers goes on the Asher, and that will allow him to get closer once again. And are they gonna go very wide? No, they will stay on the track. But Fathers has got half second penalty for going on the
Ferreira
Asher.
tries for the switchback, but he
Yeah,
can't really get it done. So
Zakares
he's
is also there. And as we jump down for the bout for PA between Stirbo and Louis. Louis, who actually started like 11th, is already up to P8, but I, I don't know. I was kind of wondering if we could watch the bout for between Jekares and the others. Yeah, the bout for P4 is heating up with the Fathers seeming very like looking very strong. Uh, and Latko is gonna be a sitting duck here, or is he? As he completely wraps out fifth gear. Uh, he he still stays ahead. Um, going down to Lake Holm. Uh, but you know, this is exactly what you said, Paitsy, in the pre-race. That Spa does provide some good racing. As you see Ferreira going down the inside to possibly defend from Jecares, and Jecares goes a bit wide due to the defending, uh, and still keeps P7. But for now, we just have a four-car train. And what do you think is gonna happen out of here, Patsy?
I expect a tough battle. Everyone is still waiting. I think nobody wants to make a move in a hurry. Uh, that could cost them. So everyone just sits behind, save their tires as much as they can. But in the slipstream, they really can't. So uh, I think Let's Go is in the best position for that. As we jump on the lead,
P3.
this group of three is quite close to each other, uh, separated by 2.5 seconds. Uh,
Yeah.
the gap is really set here. Stratus is making a solid job on the lead, but
Oh, there's
Cullinan is
contact. Between Ferreira, no, I think with Fatos and Jekeres. Contact between the two guys battling for P5. I wonder if we can get a replay of it. But Jekeres down to P12 after that contact, and he's not gonna be happy about it. As we see a replay of it, with I
oh
think
dirty tires.
yeah, but Fatos is there after he served the penalty, and there's gonna be contact right here. Oh, yeah. I think that's the first time I've seen a front-wheel drive car being spun. Uh, but Jekeres down to P12 after that contact. That must feel really frustrating for Jekeres, who was having a really good race up until now. Um, and Fathers, yeah. Oh, we see Louis jumping on the bollard, and as he gets overtaken by Fathers and drops down to P7, um, with Stirbo right behind him in P8, but Fathers still defends. Uh, we see a lot of drivers. We see some drivers going side by side through here, and Louis has to defend from Stirbo, who is on the outside, and Stirbo gets a bit cut off, but holds P8, going down to Huon. But Fathers regains P6 back, but now four-car train has been created here between Louis Stirbo, Q, and Torok. We went from a 4-car battle to another 4-car battle, this time for P7. So yeah, this race, like we're only 5 laps in, and it's already very, very interesting. Just like Barcelona, it just seems like that this championship never disappoints. Uh, so
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes. These tracks and the cars, of course, they are made for this close racing. These are real life TCR cars. TCR is well known for the touring class is well known for hard and close racing. So GT just provides that experience you can see on television.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure TCR is a bit popular in Hungary, given how the current TCR World Tour champion is Norberto Michelis from Hungary, and he's a very good touring car driver. So
He's
yeah,
so it has tradition.
yeah. I'm just remembering this fact because Azir is completely Hungarian, and I might as well bring out some touring car facts. Uh, yeah, 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 and as said by Uska, um, I even Gabriele Tarquini is a very fast was a very fast CSR driver. I mean, he's still alive, but he doesn't race anymore. But
The
he,
old veteran.
yeah, he did race in touring cars for at least 2 decades and was very popular. Um, but yeah, touring car is very popular around the world actually. You have so many TCR championships as we see Q going very, very wide and onto the Astra and getting passed by Jekadas who gets himself up to P10 with a pretty clean move. No effort required. But now he's gonna be on the attack of Shirbu, who flashes his lights at the two guys ahead of him with being Tarok and Louis. Um so Shirbu not happy uh with something. But yeah, a nice 4-car, actually 5-car train. Um, as formed up, as you see a replay of the incident between Fathers and Jekaras that happened earlier in the race. Um,
Wait for it. This could potentially be a 9 car
whoa,
train
yeah, yeah, we can dream.
if the guys behind manage to catch up. But they
Nah,
are just a little bit
they won't because they're battling
far behind.
themselves. It's
Yes,
it's
they are
way more
pretty wide.
compact. Oh, it's way more compact. Tashi holds on to P11. Um, but yeah, uh, if you're not in the lead, you might as well just have fun, no? Um, uh, ooh, we see some action here with Tarok again in PI. Stirbu still in P9 and Jakaras even closer in P10. And Jakaras might be thinking of um trying to attack the Romanian driver going up to the camel straight as we go back
Yes,
to see Tash.
he had to lift uh, throughout Eau Rouge and Radion, uh, as we
Yeah,
could see.
yeah, yeah. But he isn't close enough for an attack at the moment. Oh, and as we can also see that the train is a bit spreading out. It's not as compact as it was a few laps ago, but as we see a replay of the move by Fathers at Puon a few laps ago, but we see that Stirbu is kind of defending from Zekaras with half the race remaining, and Stirbu goes very, very wide on No Name, and that will allow Zekaras to pass him for P9, and the Romanian driver loses another position, unfortunately, after having a very strong start to the race. Wow, we're only halfway through the race, and my voice is gone. But it just shows how good the race is, and Zidek has to serve a penalty, and that hurts him a lot as he was already behind, as he was already off the slipstream of Kulinen. But now he's gonna be even more behind him.
Yes,
Yes.
he's going to have a hard time catching up to those guys because they will be pulling each other in the slipstream. This is good for the Greek team. Uh, if they manage to keep that pace and not make any mistakes uh, until the very end of the race, I think it's in the bag
Yep.
for them.
But right now, Kulinen is not even in Stratos' slipstream. 1.2 seconds that in the top two, but Kulinen has the fastest lap, so he may get close to Stratos, and they may end up in a battle. Who knows? Unless there's teamwork behind it, but I doubt that.
Yeah,
I think the objective for every driver is just to win the race. So maybe the teamwork that they will have is just to defend themselves from other guys. But if they have to fight for a victory, I think they will have to. I think they will um, kind of battle it out, but they will have to avoid risks. You know, just so the other
yes,
guys don't catch up.
yeah. Zidek is still in reach. So if they battle it out for the victory, they have to look behind. Uh,
Uh,
but
yeah,
they could still
yeah,
still
Jidek is 2.7 behind. And I think Kulinen has caught up to Stratos a little bit. I have no clue how close he is. No, I think he is 1 point something behind. But
1.1 seconds, and he's closing in
yeah, so is
step by
Ferreira
step.
on, so is Ferreira on Latko. But I see Stirbo. Oh, Stirbo passed Jekaras off camera. So the remaining driver gets himself up to P9 at the expense of Jekaras, but he has a pretty bad exit from here, and Jekaras might be going for it. No, he tucks him behind. As he waits for another opportunity, because we know Spa has very long straights, and if you want to pass, you might as well just do it before a low speed corner. But Jekaras is gonna do that on the outside of Stavolo and gets himself up to P9, but that will allow Sturbo to have the slipstream going down to Puon. Actually, sorry, Blanchimont. But as we see the move again, as we see the build up to the move, um, with
It was well played. It was a beautiful move on the outside. He got space.
yeah,
He just made, and Stirbu didn't want to defend.
yeah, and Zekaras has a penalty. Seems like he cannot. Zekaras has a Sisyphus movement and gets himself a half-second penalty, and that will allow Stirbe to get by him. But Stirbe is having none of it and is currently trying to see an opportunity to pass him on track. And currently Stirbe is ahead of him, having passed him on the inside of the exit. But who's gonna lift through here?
And
Stirbe
Vaskor
lifts. And Vashkar
can clinch
is
that
also
spot
there.
from Stirbu, as
Yep.
he will serve the penalty.
Yeah. I think the penalty line is all the way before Blanchimont, but Vashkar is there. He moves to the extreme inside. Is he gonna go for it on Stirbu? He goes for it. He goes for it, and he takes the position away momentarily. But what has Stirbu got for him? Vashkar goes on the Asher and
He,
takes the position.
he's
What
done
an
it.
amazing move from the Hungarian driver, and we're gonna see that again. Oh, they moved at almost the same time, and Bash got a break really late, but he made it work, and he got himself up a position. So Shtirabu loses another position. gets himself down to P11. Unfortunately. Um. Wow. While Fatos has pulled away from Tarok, Ferreira is closing in on Latsko. The Portuguese driver, currently in shot of a fourth place finish today, with 5 laps to go when they cross the line. But Ferreira having one of his strong moments. Last season he wasn't very consistent with his results, but we knew that if he was at his best, he could have performed. But as we see that Latko goes very, very wide on the extra Blanchman, that's probably going to be a penalty. Oh, he goes wide again, and that will allow Ferreira to get past him into
Yes,
P4.
this is now icing on the cake for him.
Yeah.
He didn't really lose any time.
Yeah.
I mean Ferreira.
Yeah. I think Ferreira is going for a career best finish in ZIRA, unless he finished higher. In case I don't remember.
I think he had a
A
podium.
podium.
I don't even know if he have raced in the pro or the semi-pro class, but
No, he didn't race in pro.
he was in semi-pro.
Yeah. He always was in semi-pro. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. Let me just fact check. Okay, yeah. Ferreira got a podium. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I did. It was the first round of last season, ironically. So Ferreira is chasing for his second best result of his career in ZIRA. Oh, Jacares almost hits Stirbo, and he actually does hit him. Jacares taps Stirbo, does the good old TCR move with a bit of trading paint, shall we say. Um, but nothing in terms of positions happen. But Jacares goes very, very wide, probably trying to go for an attack on the outside, but right now, attacking on the outside is not very favorable, given, like, look at the tires, like, it's, they're worn down a lot, so, um, it, I don't think it's a good idea to go for a move on the outside, don't you think?
Yes, the outside is on the outside. The tires get dirty and they will wear more. They will lose traction,
Yep.
and with those little moments they had throughout the race, they just rub their tires more.
Oh, Vashkot has a 1 second penalty, and,
Yeah, he went a little bit wide.
oh, and he goes wide again, and that, allowed Stirbo to get by him, and Vashkot goes to the far left of the track, and he's gonna serve the penalty now. And he gets passed by his own teammate. Um, but also shout out to Louis, who's up to P7. But Vashkot gets passed by Tokesh, who is currently P11, and yeah, what? um, so Q in P14, Tashi down in P14, having a very frustrating race since the start. After going very wide of this specific corner, he never really recovered from it. He never had the slip from of any car after that, unfortunately. Um, as we come back to the top three, Shidek in P3, Kulinen in P2, but Kulinen is not in Stratus's slipstream range. So it
Yes,
seems like
he was catching up to Stratos, but he eventually lost some time. I don't know. We didn't see him making a mistake, but that might have been a case, or he got a penalty. Who knows? Uh, but yes, that's 2.5, nearly 3 second advantage. Just really uh, comes to Stratos' favor, and I don't think as long as Stratus doesn't make a mistake, that Cullinan will have a chance for that victory.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. As we're coming down to 3 to go, next time across the line. Yellow flag being shown. I wonder what was it for? Um, so yellow flag was being shown at Puan, but we don't know for who it was. So maybe a crash happened, maybe a spin happened, but we'll never know.
Someone may have left the track.
Nah, it has to be a crash because yellow flags are not shown unless there's like a crash or something. Because leaving the track doesn't warrant a yellow flag, but yeah. Louis, oh, it was Louis. It was Louis. He was P7. Louis was 7th, and now he's 11th. So I wonder what happened to Pruon for our driver, as we see Vashkar overtaking him for P11, which is just one place away from the points, as we are about to start lap 12, 3 laps ago. I think there's the overtake from Vashkar on Louis, going up to Puan. Job done. Clean move.
Yes, but I wonder what could have happened to Louis that cost him 4 or 5 positions. He maybe touched the grass at Pugon and spun. That's the most likely scenario that could have happened.
Yeah, and Latko gets overtaken by Turok. While this happens. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Turok overtakes Latko, and yeah, Fatis has jumped to P5, showing that yes, there was something. Uh, but Turok got the move done pretty easily. Uh, no dirty tactics were used, so fair move. We like that.
Yes, yes. Let's go. Tires are really in their end of their life stint.
Y-
Uh,
yeah.
so that's what's behind that he's falling down the ladder. But
Yeah.
towards the half of the race, he managed that 5th position. I'm really sad to see him dropping down, but I think this 7th position will be the final for him.
Yeah. There's a battle between Jekares and Stirbo for PA. I saw the two drivers were in the position for a few seconds. While we see Ferreira currently P4 with 2 laps to go. And yeah, there's about 3-car battle for PA between Jekares, Stirbo, and Tokesh, with Stirbo looking for an attack. Has been doing that for all the race, but he has never been able to get the move done for more than a lap. And Louis gets back up to P11 after that incident that happened. But yeah, 2 laps to go. As we watch this very nice battle for P7 while the camera cuts to Latsko, and yeah, return to Stirbo, who has passed Jekaris on the exit of La Source. But Jekares will be trying to see if he has an opportunity to attack him, or will Turkish be able to attack the guy in front? But Jekares looks like he's gonna go on the outside, heading down to La Source. Is he gonna make the move stick? Is he gonna lift? Looks like it, but there's contact! There's contact between Jekares and Tokesh, and that will allow Stirbu to have some breathing space, and that kind of puts things at an interesting point. with Tokish getting half-second penalty, which I'm guessing for track limits. But let's do this again. Oh, he breaks really, really late and hits Zekares, almost spinning out the Hungarian driver. But
Well, this wasn't really bold move. Uh,
yeah, this was a bold move, more like. Uh, but yeah, we're coming up to one lap to go actually. This race has been pretty fun since the start, hasn't it? But Stirbo currently P9, uh, with Tokesh, with the half-second penalty, which is about to serve in a few corners, and that might allow Louis to get in the points actually. Um, so Louis, it might be able to attack Tokesh for P10 now, as Tokesh serves his time penalty, and Louis looks on the outside. Is he gonna go for it on the outside Blanchimont? Is he gonna do it? There's contact actually, with Louis going very, very wide, um, and might be getting a penalty because of the Gran Turismo track limits, but he doesn't get a penalty. But that kind of destroyed his chances to attack P10. Let's see this again. Yeah, there was contact, and yeah, a bit of a misjudgment. He didn't know when to turn, so he went straight off. But yeah, one lap to go. Uh, with Stratos 4 seconds in the lead. What a gap. With Kulin in second, 5 seconds ahead of Zidek. We remember Zidek started on pole and eventually fell down the order in the first few laps. Um, Ferreira currently P4 with Fotters trailing in behind, 1.3 seconds behind him. As we go back to Jacares, trying to see if he can at least get close to Stirbo, trying to apply some pressure on the last lap. Um, but I don't think that's gonna be enough. But good, back to P12, Vashkar. Just a few tenths behind Louis, and we might just see a battle for P11 margin in the last few corners. And the tire saving skills are gonna play a big part, as we see Vashkar's tires being really, really shredded. Um, but yeah, just 1.5 sectors to go, which is basically half a lap. But we see Louis struggling a little bit on exit, but Vashkar looks on the outside. Is Vashkar gonna do it? He's gonna go around the outside as the leader is taking the chicane for the final time. Um, Nestratos takes the chicane for the final time. What a dominant victory for the German driver, who takes his first race win of the season ahead of Kulinen and Zidek. Uh, with Pereira currently in P4 and Fothers currently P5. Um, as we see back, Louis managed to pull a gap on Vashkar. Um, yeah, Pereira crosses line P4, Fothers P5, Turok P6, Latsko um, in P7 with very, very shredded tires as he flashes the lights. Stirbu P8, Jekares P9, Tokesh gets 1 point, and Louis heartbreakingly gets P11, Vashkar P12. Tashi manages to not finish last despite his struggles in the race, gets P13. And what I'm guessing Q had a bit of an issue, as yeah, he has a full red front left tire, and he finishes last. So, wow, that was a very nice race,
what a
wasn't it?
race it was. Yes,
Yeah,
couldn't have asked for a better race, especially uh, the guys in the middle field
yeah,
uh, were entertaining us, uh,
yep.
so we
Uh,
can't complain.
yeah. I also have to correct myself. This is Strata's second win of the season after winning the shortened Barcelona round. But Stratos takes the second win of the season, but not in the dominant fashion that he showed in Barcelona. Um, but but it was still dominant regardless, as he led most laps, but he didn't really seem like the fastest guys. Sorry, he didn't seem like the fastest guy right in qualifying, but he managed to um, make himself known as the guy who can keep his tires for the longest amount of time while keeping a very fast race pace. So yeah, that was a really nice race for us, the commentators, and we hope the same for the drivers. uh, Paitsy, you got anything else that we can probably say before the pro broadcast will take over?
Well, I just want to say that I hope every viewer had enjoyed this really exciting race that the semi pro had, and surely I'm sure that the pro class will be uh, m- exciting too because of the rainy conditions. So I think I want to recommend to stay here in the stream and look at the pro guys because that will be a hell of an exciting race.
Yeah, I love your enthusiasm of the pro division with the rain. But yeah, um, we'll be sorry, I'll be leaving for the pro race because I will drive in the pro race. But if I'm not wrong, Pitesy will stay and will commentate alongside one of my favorite people to work with, being Carter. But I think for now it's over with the semi-pro broadcast and it's in with the pro broadcast. So see you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? And welcome back to ZIRA Evolution. We're here for season 2, round 2 today. You've got to put up with just me today, I'm afraid, but I hope that that is good nevertheless. So, you might be a little bit confused as to, hang on a minute, we haven't even raced yet, and how are we at round 2? That is because Barcelona has been moved to the final at this final race of the season, as you can see there on our calendar to the left hand side. So don't worry, it's not any problems. We are still, this is technically our first round of the season, so do not that you've missed one at all. Either way, we're here at one of my personal favourite tracks in the world, Spa-Francorchamps. What a circuit it is. 7,000 metres, 7,004 if you want to be precise. 3 sectors and 18 corners, of which you've got some brilliant overtaking opportunities, don't you? Into the bus stop chicane, into the first corner. If you're an absolute nutcase going up rally on, some people try for it, some people put it off, other times it's a catastrophic mess. Either way, look at that weather forecast as well. It is going to be very, very wet at the start of the race, and then possibly clear out and dry out towards the end of it. And now it is the car they're going to have to do it all in. It is a car that's notorious for being a bit twitchy, especially under power, and I think in these wet weather conditions, it's going to be one hell of a challenge to keep this thing under control. But these drivers are the pro class drivers, so we expect the absolute best from them. So it's going to be a certain challenge, but I think this is all going to come down to just who can master that feeling with the car and that understanding through that wet weather conditions, gain that good advantage through that start of the race, and then as and when it does dry out, just get onto those tyres at the right opportunity, and I think they'll be absolutely fine. So we're in for one hell of a race here today. As you may notice, 0 points across the board, so it's an important time to see how everybody gets along. 9 constructors today, of which 3 of them are made up of one main constructor that are split into 3 different teams, 20 drivers as well, and I think we're going to have a very, very busy race indeed. Well, it shouldn't be long before qualifying gets underway, so we will be seeing that in just a moment's time. Now, qualifying is indeed in the very heavy wet conditions, so this is kind of gonna be what the start of the race is going to be at. And interestingly, quite a few intermediate, oh no, they're all getting replaced by wets. There was actually some Inters tyres going out onto track. I'm genuinely amazed. I mean, that is soaking wet conditions. Now, if you know, there is a bar that you can sometimes see on these GT7 games that tells you the wetness of the track. I would have thought this would have been into the deep blue by now, how wet it is. But maybe there isn't too much water on the circuit just yet. These drivers can get out and sneak a lap in on the intermediates before it gets too wet, then they could be in a brilliant opportunity to take pole position. Because then as the qualifying is going to go on, the track's only going to get wetter and wetter, and it's just going to become slower and slower to go around. So we're currently on board with... Oh, Christ almighty. I mean, I'm an Englishman. These are names that I've never seen in my life. Cosnay. Is that right? It'll do. It'll do. Either way, this is going to be pretty much, for this outlap for everybody, this is going to be their tester lap. This is going to be, are they confident on the tyres they are? Do they know where the car is going to try and get away from them, where they can get these braking points, as well as warming up the tyres? So more than any points ever, this lap is crucial, because you want to get a lap in early. You want to set that banker lap, that lap that secures you, even if it's 3 seconds off of the pace, it's a time. It's a time on the board. At least you qualified. And oh, there's a big slip. Full opposite lock there from the first man out on the grid. That is showing some definite worries in the way of grip. He had that on full opposite lock throughout the entirety of the corner, having to slow down to fourth gear through the flowing left hand of a corner which you usually take flat out. So that just shows you just how soaking wet it is out there. So we'll give it a watch as he goes through the lap, and look at his wing. Even his windscreen wipers going at absolute full tilt. So going down the main straight now, you can see the spray kicking up as well. That's going to be an interesting issue for drivers towards the middle and the back half of the grid going into the race. Having all of that spray in their face, they're barely going to be able to see a thing. They might not be able to see where their braking zones are. Someone could easily be 2 foot in front of them, and you know, if the lights are really that hazy, you'd have absolutely no idea that they were there at all. So that could be a very interesting proposition throughout the medium, sort of very start and the medium half of the grid. So the front runners, they're usually fine. You might, you know, if you get in the spray of one person, you can just about manage with it. Once you've got 3 people spraying water up onto your windscreen, you can barely see a thing. Either way now, here, running down the Kemmel Straight into the chicane, and he's just having to take it so slowly as to not allow the car to escape from underneath him. See, this is the issue in wet weather. You get an increased amount of understeer and a really increased amount of oversteer, as you can see there, just snapping as he exits the corner. So they have to slow down so much, otherwise the car will just keep going in the same direction as it just did. I think he might have ever so slightly locked up the breakers as well, and oh, he's struggling so much to keep it in one direction. I've got absolutely no idea how these drivers are going to manage to be able to put up with these wet conditions and race at the same time. It's going to be a very impressive show for anybody that can do it. But by the looks of it, he has pulled away a little bit of a gap to the drivers behind him. So I believe he's on actually half a decent lap. Oh, it's sideways all the way through Pouon. How on earth he's managed to keep that going in the right direction, I will never know. This is a brilliant driver's ability here. We can see from the cockpit. It is absolutely phenomenal how he's managing to keep this car in a straight line as he dances on the throttle and on the water. It's nearly a tank slapper, but somehow he's keeping it in control. This is utterly phenomenal as he just scoots round one of the last sort of heavyish braking zones of the lap. We've only got one more usually. We might have 2. And wow, it's like it's on ice throughout these corners. It doesn't seem like rain. It seems like it's frozen to the core and just spinning up the rears at any moment it can possibly get the opportunity to. Oh, this is unbelievable driving. The fact that the car is still in the right direction is honestly phenomenal, as here we enter the bus stop chicane and he's really overshot it. But maybe, even maybe, just the fact that he's managed to keep the car in a straight line means that it's not going to be too much of the end of the world. Gets over quite a big puddle there, doesn't lose any grip, so it's a 2:48.1, our first time of the day, as a half a second penalty there. He's going to come in, unsurprisingly. I wouldn't want to have to deal with a half a second time penalty. That's going to absolutely ruin a lap. So a 1:46.1 now. That's an impressive lap from that's Marco, isn't it? Yes, it is. That's very, very impressive. So 2.1 seconds. So a driver that we thought was driving at a very, very good rate, a second off. That's a very strong start, and that shows true car knowledge. But we've still got quite a few drivers still yet to set laps. Everybody slowly getting their times in now, and actually quite distant from one another. So I think we've got a very varied grid on this wet weather. There'll be some people that have really got a good understanding of how this car works in these wet conditions. And yes, it is full wet there. You can just see in the bottom left hand corner to the right hand side of our game timer, it is in that deep blue, it is in that full wet condition, and 11 meters per second wind. That is incredibly strong. This is a proper storm-like material. So in certain areas of the track, the cars are going to really be having to push through to get any kind of speed. Other times, they're going to just be probably, I imagine, we can. Yes, actually, if you think about it, where he got sideways at Puon, he's going in the opposite. He's getting a T collision there with the wind. That could be a huge contributor as to why the rear end kicked out, and that might be happening across quite a lot of the circuit because, for the most part, it is running perpendicular to most of the driving done on the circuit. So drivers will be struggling with that throughout the race, especially if it stays like that for the race. So keep that in mind as well for just to be another challenge on top of the wet weather conditions. It just seems to not be going the way of the drivers today, does it? Everything that could go wrong is going wrong for them. They just don't want to be in this weather. They don't want that kind of headwind. It's going to be a right challenge, and I think whoever does take a high position in grid here today, so long as they keep it on track, they'd be in a really, really good position. Either way, we're 8 minutes now into qualifying, so we're getting through qualifying very quickly as, oh, big loss of the rear. And by the looks of it, yes, he is running traction control, but it hasn't been enough. Massa just keeping himself in a straight line. That's a very, very worrying for him. See, this is the issue. You can get out of these and you'll be like, oh, you've just about survived it. And then just bang, immediately it will just catch you out again. You think you're all right, and all of a sudden you're not. And just what is worrying is if this is what's happening in qualifying, what happens when you're under pressure in a race? I'm seeing spins. I'm already seeing the spins. They're already coming. This is going to be a very interesting race, to say the very least. So P6 now for him. That was a 252, so that wasn't a time to be improved upon. It was the Greek that I think managed to slip up and gain that position, hence why he dropped down at a very good time, actually. A 247.7, we would think is a really strong and competitive time, but he's 1.3 seconds. Yet seconds, not tenths, seconds from our race leader, and he's in P2 at the moment. The dominance in qualifying as of right now is looking very strong. I mean, I just saw, I think that was Kiss that just came up on the timing sheet as a 250. It's 4 seconds between P1 and P8. It's so varied and open at the moment because of these wet weather conditions. There's some people managing to get a much better run. Interestingly, not much of this section is in the blue, hence why the Greekman is running intermediate tyres. So he's taking that risk on the inters, hoping that you are gonna reap some benefits out of it and try and get himself maybe up into a higher position. But it's just such a challenge, isn't it? We got 4 3/4 minutes remaining. So probably enough for everybody to get out and do one more lap. By the looks of it, everybody's on the other side of the circuit at the moment. I'd like to think going for their out laps, if not going for a fast lap. I mean, it's a very, very long lap, isn't it? 2 minute 47, a 2:02. It's 4 tenths up, and it's purple. Sector 2's purple. He's gotten a little leery out of the second to last acceleration zone. Is he going to be able to nail this purple sector? He could certainly get himself closer to pole position. He could certainly take it if he manages to get an absolutely amazing purple sector 3. You never know, it could have just all gone wrong as he just narrowly avoids the car waiting to get started on his fast lap. He's only just about managed that. Pence puts himself much closer to the front man, but still about half a second away. Now, what can he do? Comes across the line. He goes P2. He splits by a similar amount each with a 246.6. So all of a sudden, Marco is under a bit of pressure here. Pence managed to put himself half a second between. Tassi rapidly improving as I think the track is drying slightly. There is no rain in the air at the moment, so it is now very much intermediates weather. Interestingly, Marco is in the pit lane. He might just be able to get out, but it's going to be, if he doesn't leave within the next sort of 5 seconds or so, he's done for. As now, look what's happening. People are going and setting much, much faster times. They're making the most of those intermediate tyres and that intermediate running, and Marco is indeed out on track. Is he going to make it round quickly enough to be able to go for a lap? Because all of these guys, they're just going to be going for another one. They're just going to try and perfect their craft that little bit more. It's going to be ferociously close. All of a sudden, a qualifying that was so wide open is going to be one of the closest qualifying I think we have ever seen. 2 minutes 30 left. Anybody starting a lap now will be their final lap without a shadow of a doubt. But I think pretty much everybody, yes indeed everybody is, on their final laps. I mean, Marco might just be able to make it round. I think he might be one of the last drivers. That little batch there, they're cutting it a very fine line. I just don't know which side of the line they're going to fall on, whether they're going to make it round for that lap, whether they're not. Because Marco, he's on an outlap. He's gotten onto these intermediate tyres. He thought he was safe on the softs, but it's dry enough, so he's had to come back out on the medium tyres, and it's close, to say the very least. Coming around into the chicanes now. It is. This is now just a race in of itself. You know he's going to be pushing to try and make it. But he won't want to be pushing too hard, because the last thing he wants to do is spin it and absolutely ruin his chances before the lap even gets underway. So I am intrigued to see how he's going to get on. Once again, it's still slippy out of that corner, out of the double right-hander. People are still struggling. Don't think they're safe because they're on the intermediate tyre. They're most certainly not. I mean, it's a corner which does invite a... Whoa, that's a lot quicker. Quarter of a second up on the time. It's now into the 43s, a 2-minute 43.928. It's close. Only just in the 43s, but it is in the 43s, and it does set a new objective for all the drivers coming through now. And yes, they are indeed all going to make it with about half a minute to spare. So most drivers will be getting onto their final laps now. And it is going to be a final, pretty much one lap shootout for qualifying. The Greekman who did get through, he will be able to go for one more lap. He crossed the line before that checkered flag came out. I don't know whether the last man's going to be able to get through. We got 3 seconds to go. No, he's not. I don't know whether he's come into the pit lane or not. But nevertheless, everybody that wanted to get through is now through, I believe, onto their final laps now. So, how is everybody going to compare? Interestingly enough, the track is nearly at dry conditions. So this will be interesting for these drivers towards the back who have timed it to absolute perfection to get across the line, because they're going to have a nearly dry track. Okay, admittedly, their intermediates might ever so slightly overheat, hence why he's getting onto the wet sections whilst he can and then pulling back onto the dries. And look at that, purple sector 1 immediately. And that is just from being towards the back of the grid. He's making the most of the driest track. He has a drier track than anybody else today. So he will try and make the absolute most of it. And look, it is practically dry running for the most part for this guy. He's dipping now into dry running. He's only just on the lip of intermediate tyres. If anything, these inters are actually going to be starting to struggle. But then he's also got the advantage of he can still run a little bit wide. He has still got that grip. It's just a worry that his tyres will overheat if he stays on the dry bits of the track too long. So watch this. He'll probably hold to the right-hand side a little bit longer. I was expecting him to hold it slightly longer than that, but he has decided to go for it. And just trying to navigate the way through now. Drivers are beginning to get themselves across the line to set their final times of the day. Is it going to be enough? Well, it's a purple sector 2 once again. Is it going to be a purple sector 3? He's far down on anybody's time. What was it, 2:44? So he's going to have to improve rapidly as everybody is shooting up the order into pretty much dry running now. Our final drivers coming through. Sauda Audi goes top of the timing sheets, but we've still got these 3 more drivers to go. How are they going to fare? The full dry experience for our man right at the back. Is it going to be pole position? No, it's not, and only just. It's 16 hundredths of a second to split the top of the timing sheets. Addy with a 2:28.299 puts himself right at the top with a 2:28.31. 3 drivers within a tenth of a second is just unbelievably close. That is outrageously close. You don't see that every day. You do not see that every day whatsoever. It's a very impressive times. And to be fair, all else considered, it's quite open towards the back half of the grid, especially. Pretty much each driver a second apart from one another. There might be about half a second here or there, but are indeed each split by the second margin. Right, we'll be getting going in just a moment's time, or at least that's our plan anyway. As per usual, we will be sent out by the formation lap. We have our wonderful safety car. As per usual, he'll be leading us away, but don't go anywhere because we'll be getting started very, very soon. Alrighty, and you join us back on once again a very, very wet Spa-Francorchamps for our formation lap. So all the drivers getting themselves out at the moment. Currently, still our pole man at the front, just taking it nice and slowly. 145 kilometers an hour he was at his fastest point down the backstroke, 150. It's certainly going to be a lot faster than that during the race, as all the drivers just carefully make their way around the track. They want to try and keep tyre temperatures as strong as possible. A couple of drivers going for the intermediate tyre, CP3, P4 intermediates. Rest of the grid saw certainly wets at the front. I know he's going to have to cut through a lot of that standing water that a lot of the other drivers aren't going to have to worry anywhere near as much about. But by the looks of it, the rain is still coming down, so we're not going to be dropping back to dry weather anytime soon. So it is still very much the case, wet, wet, wet. But it is planned to dry out as the race goes on. It's planned to go from heavy rain down to medium rain and then down to dry weather to finish the race off. So do expect some dry running. We will see the use of our slick tyres. I don't know whether it's going to be just a whack on a set of hards and run it to the end, or whether it's going to be, you know what, it's only a couple of laps remaining, let's go for the softs. Obviously, we haven't got a lot of laps either because Spa is such a long track. we've only got 25 laps here today. So drivers are going to have to keep that in mind as well. You know, they don't want to wait too late to go onto tyres. Otherwise, they're going to spend pretty much a full lap, or at least sort of a minute and a half of time they want to be on the wrong tyre. So precision and strategy calls here is going to be key. Obviously, sometimes you just get unlucky, you know, being the front running driver. It's just too early for you to come in, but for the guy in fifth, it's worth it. And that is just life. So we could see some strategy calls dictated by the weather, and maybe a driver we weren't fully expecting to be up at the top, going ahead and winning the race. But that is all to come. We will be getting started very, very soon as the boys come up towards the bus stop chicane. Ready to go green. A lot of drivers keeping it nice and steady, keeping behind the other drivers. Might be doing that for fuel purpose reasons as well. I can imagine that being the case as they close and condense together into double file. The orders have been stated and they do indeed line up as such. We'll be going green in a moment's notice. As we wait, we wait, we wait, we wait. Ready to come round the first turn, and we should be going green sooner rather than later. Obviously, as I wasn't aware on the 24-hour layout, so here we go. We go green today, and it's 4 wide almost immediately, and it's a complete change of the lead. And nearly straight away, his teammates swapping round. So Ali does indeed hold second place, but he loses out to his teammate. He's going to have to fight back. Through Radion we go. Pretty much everybody going single file. I say that's logical. Now, running down into the Kemmel Straight. It's bump drafting from the teammates. They want to try and extend their distance from everybody else. They're doing that tactically, and it's pretty well executed. But the P3 has absolutely got nothing to do with it. It's a brilliant send. And is he going to be able to hold it around the outside? Yes, he is. Phenomenal stuff. Holds that position, and now the teammates battling in the middle. I don't know how on earth that's going to end, but either way, they're going to continue going round, and he swoops around the outside. Massa collecting P8 there. Pence being subdued down to P9. One driver off course just there. I think that was Kiss. Just running slightly offline, maybe to try and keep his tyres a little bit colder. I'm not too certain, but it is very, very wet. A lot of drivers, they're having looks, they're thinking about going for moves, but it's not really all of that wise a decision at the moment. You can see traction control working absolute wonders, as it is very, very wet out there. Everybody's struggling. Traction control pretty much keeping everybody in a line, and I don't think people are going to want to make moves for the most part. I mean, we've seen some people go for it in some of the slower corners, but the faster corners, especially down this bit of the track, it's just very, very risky to try and go for it. And as I say it, look at what was happening there. Two drivers going side by side. One nearly went sideways, but he's managed to keep it in a straight line. Kiss just having a look around, and he's got another driver coming through. The Greek is going to have the outside around these left-handers, and does indeed get cut off by Kiss there in the monster car, and holds P9 for now. But once again under pressure, he's having to go defensive into the bus stop chicane. He's going to have the inside for the first half. He's going to take the outside for the second. Gets pushed wide a little bit by a flailing car who's run far too deep into the corner. And what's it going to be? Is it going to be 3 wide into turn 1? I'm not too certain. But here we go. No, indeed, it's only going to be 2. And what on earth happened there? We're taking a look on the replay now. So, car comes in, I think brakes a little bit too late. Yeah, just carries on going straight on when you want to be turning left. Comes back onto the track and it just gets a bit complicated, to say the very least, at the back of the grid here, as now everybody has ironed themselves out. They're all into their slots and not attempting any moves up Radion, which I think is a very logical decision indeed. And just behind now, you can see the cars just stacking in 2 by 2 as they're going to go 3 wide, I think, here. Is he going to go for it? No, he's not. They're still going to be side by side. I think he's going to have it around the outside. Yes, he is. Holds P10 for now. And it is so very close between these drivers, isn't it? They're all battling it out, and they do not want to give each other an ounce more space than they need to, and a tiny fraction of a second, split second difference is what is coordinating these drivers and keeping them on the track. So far, actually, may I say, we are on lap 3. We have had no major incidents whatsoever. Isn't that phenomenal? Like, no, everybody's still in a straight line. Nobody's 30 seconds behind everybody else. No one's had to come into the pits for damages. It's phenomenal. I mean, I would have spun off at least 6 times already. Maybe even in the first lap. We're coming up to pretty much the final third of the 3rd lap. And they're all still going. They're all in really good positions. It's so amazing to see. I've got to say, hats off to them. They're driving very, very competitively at the moment. As a little mistake there has opened the door. Can he get it round? No, they're going to continue side by side. They might even allow, sorry, excuse me, might even allow a 3rd entrance into this. It's not quite going to be the big fight we were quite expecting. I think they're all going to line up single file now for the bus stop chicane. Going slightly defensive, but nothing to be made of so far. So the fight for P2 isn't quite overdone with yet, but rest assured it is certainly going to fire up once again. As just taking a little look here, right? So he tries to go defensive, but he's got that car on the inside, so he has to swing it around the outside, then holds the inside after getting a much, much better exit, and then tries to look wide, and it just didn't quite work. He couldn't get that run through. So Marco holding P4 for now, but he's definitely got a good opportunity to go for a move at some point. All the drivers pretty much single file, I imagine, for the majority of this running. And here he goes, swoops into P3. Is he going to be able to get it done before they hit the brakes? No, he is going to have to slightly sit on the inside, but no, yes, does get the move done. Quite impressively as well, just making the most of it. And what's this? A half a second time penalty. Now that is going to be absolutely crucial. We say it's a half a second, but it's really more like a 2 or 3 seconds you'll lose to the car behind. So I imagine that's going to put him deep into the midfield fight rather than up in the fight for podium positions. As what's this just happening right now? They go 2 by 2. Car switches outside to the inside line and does indeed get it back. The switch could be on, but no, Pence decides to hold back for now, gets in the slip and is going to go for it down the inside of P1. It's just a much later switch back and he really goes for it, but eventually elects to hold out. He thought, no, that's just too risky. That's not worth going for. That is just a recipe for disaster, to say the very least. So we are pretty quiet out on track at the moment. Nobody really wants to go for moves through this bit of the track. It's just, not only is it risky, it loses you a valuable time. So we can see a lot of drivers still struggling out on there. Track conditions aren't improving at the moment at all. We're pretty much sat right on the cusp of wet weather. and we're just about not quite breaching it. It's very interesting to see how close we are that it's just not quite working. I mean, they definitely, once they get up onto a nasty bit of the track, or whether that's a rumble strip or something, it definitely does tip into the wet. But at the moment, whoa, what's this? 3 wide trying to go at the bus stop chicane. That's never going to work. It's only going to be 2, and it's going to become 3 on exit by the looks of it. Hence, they're running in a pretty decent position. He's just got everybody just slightly behind. And oh, what on earth happened back here? So we're going to be able to watch it slightly behind. He's absolutely dive bombed through there and somehow made it work. That is utterly phenomenal. How on earth you do that? I've got no idea whatsoever. Somehow he's managed to dive bomb it from about a car lengths back at the bus stop and dive bomb 2 people and made it stick. And no one got catapulted. That's incredible. Marco obviously finding his way into P3 at the moment. Goes for a purple sector 1, so maybe that track is drying a little bit, or maybe a little bit of open air is doing him a rather good. I mean, that is kind of really what we'd hope to be seeing. Either way, he sits not all that comfortably up at the front. One person that does, though, is indeed our leader, who's got a little bit of time to the cars behind him as they scrap. That just gives him an opportunity to just drive away a little bit at the moment, as it is absolute chaos still in this middle section of our running. I mean, from about P3 down to about P8 is just constant changes for position. No one can make up their mind where they want to be. They go up a position, they come back down a position. Someone swaps around pretty much every corner, and I think it's happening right now. Yes, it is. He's going to have to take it to the outside. Massa with a half a second time penalty as well. That's going to greatly reduce his damage chances of getting anything completed. He's going to fall to the back of the grid, and he might be the first person to get pulled off of the back of the pack, which is interesting. Consider his purple sector 2 there. Either way, he'll be losing out on valuable time now, as he'll fall towards the back of the grid. And look at this, look at how close Spa-Francorchamps, as they go through that swooping left-hander, it splits them up a little bit. And I don't think a move is going to be made, but a dive bomb is going to try and be pulled off just in front, as that's defended very nicely by the Hungarian, and keeping the Greek just out of his wing mirrors just for now. But I imagine he'll be back once again. That was very close. It was a very late move as well. He left it right to the last moment just to try and put on a bit of a surprise. And here we go. That's that dive bomb once again. I mean, isn't that just phenomenal? He saw a slight little overtaking opportunity. He saw a small gap form, and he has just ate it up. It's utterly fantastic there. In my opinion, that will probably be the overtake of the day. In my opinion, that's overtake of the day worthy. Shall I tell you something I have noticed as well? The rain, it's stopped. There is no rain. The track is nearly dry. Well, at least to a dry enough extent that, you know, we could go on to some soft running. But it doesn't take long, does it? That's a lap, pretty much, I reckon. It can't be less than that, surely. So pretty much a lap of running, and the track is pretty much dry. That's impressive, isn't it? That is very impressive. So, are we going to see the move to slicks next lap? I'm not too sure. I think they're going to leave it for just one more, just to make sure it is definitely under that margin at all points during the lap, because the last thing they want to do is do something like that, get slightly wide, hit a very much intermediate worthy part of the track, and get catapulted off. So it's going to be an interesting one. But look at how much quicker they're going at the moment. It is just time is being chewed off of the fastest lap. Just every single time we go around, it just gets quicker and quicker and quicker still. Following Pence here, he's in that middle part of the track. So he's kind of got a bit of a decision to make. Does he go early? Does he follow the early runners? Or does he go late? Interestingly enough, we've still got wet weather tyres out there at the moment. The full wets are still out there, albeit towards the back of the grid. But somehow they're still surviving. I'd like to think they're going to come into the pit lane now. As yes, pretty much everybody comes into the pit lane. A couple of drivers decide to stay out. But yeah, for them, a couple of people decided to come in. P9 and back, other than P13, who's still just trying to come through that final section of the track. So fair few drivers into the pit lane. Quite a few more decide to stay out. So obviously this is an undercut maneuver. They're going for the undercut and hoping that it works. Can I see it working? Yes, it's definitely plausible. They could definitely make it work. They're just going to have to work certainly very hard to make it work. One thing they can't do that the Inters can is get up on the curbs. They're going to have to stay out on the perfect dry line. Even going up this is going to be really, really precarious for them. They're onto the racing softs, and they're currently in near full wet conditions coming up of that ramp. That just shows you how risky that is. That's very, very risky. But they're back onto the track, and obviously on those racing softs, and you can see on that dry ticker, it is in the slicks territory, just albeit it's going to keep those slicks quite cold. Interestingly enough, our race leader still sits on the full wet tyre. Somehow still in the race lead as well, may I say. He's managed to get through that Inters part of the track and still survive. But I don't think he's going to survive for all that much longer. He's got his teammate behind him, and he's got Marco as well. They're all of a sudden deciding to have a scrap now. Who's going to come out in front? It's side by side. Since the Italian's going to have the inside line here at the left-hander, is that going to present him with enough of a boost to get himself back into P2? Yes, it is. Interestingly enough as well, that also gives a boost for our race leader. Once again, pretty much, 1.5 seconds in front of the pack. Is it time to pit for him? No, it's not. It's not time to pit for the front three, but P4 decides that it is time to pit. So, in he comes. That's interesting enough. And here we go. A dive at turn 1. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is. He finds himself up into P2. And look at this. The race leader runs really wide out of turn 1. It's going to lose him a lot of time. But he is still, technically, he's in the lead of the race still. And he's just going to have a very, very bad run through Radion. Here we go. We're watching a little replay here. What happened here? So, two teammate drivers having a go. There's going to go to the inside. Gets it done very nicely. That's a very nice move. Nice, simple, and indeed calm. And Sauda Audi, all of a sudden, down to P3 here. So he must have lost a lot of time down that Kemmel Straight as they're fighting. Up at the front there, I noticed a bit of damage on one of the cars towards the back, who was also on racing soft, so he's picked up a bit of damage from that. And look at this, soaring through. The Italian makes his mark, gets himself into the lead of the race, something that he's hoped to do for quite some time now, as he's been hunting down the two teammates who will be working tirelessly together to try and get themselves back into the lead. They'll want to work as a duo to try and give them an opportunity. The one person they don't want here right now is Marco, and he's doing a superb job of getting in the way and getting himself into the race lead. So look at this right now, 1 minute 2 seconds back. He's got A big tank slapper out of the pit lane. So he's only just come and put those racing softs on. And all of a sudden, he's got major front damage. That is the last thing he wanted to see. And I can tell you that much for free. He'll be absolutely gutted by that. Because he knows he had a good opportunity to make the most of that. And he's just not quite pulled off. Now, okay, he has got that tyre advantage, but he hasn't got any front end grip. Look at this. Front and back wing damage. Plus a dash of fuel for him. So he's not just coming in for damage. And here we go. The front runners now finally deciding to come into the pit lane. It's taken them long enough. The fact that ZIRA is coming in from wet tyres. Kiss is coming in from wet tyres as well. That is just remarkable that they've stayed in this competition on these tyres, on those wet tyres. The fact that two Inter runners haven't run away with it is genuine surprise, because that's exactly what should have been happening. Coming through the bus stop now, these three drivers running in tandem, but I don't think anybody is going to go for a move. No, they are not for now. Few more drivers still in the pit lane. They should be emerging very, very soon, but indeed do overtake everybody else for the race lead. And they've already come in. They're already on those soft tyres. So there we go. New race leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Whether that's going to stay the case for now, I'm not too sure, as the Greekman is currently dropped down to P3. So there we go. He's gotten a good... He's run pretty well around the outside. He's had the inside at Eau Rouge, but he's got the outside of Radion. And to be honest, really, you want that inside line going up the hill, because then you can cut across and take the outside, take the inside at the left-hander, and he's done just that. Very, very well done. By a Hungarian. Right, we are on lap 9 of 25. We've had quite a fair bit of racing to go. And oh, what's happened here? That's Marco, I believe, getting himself all the wrong way around as he came out onto the Kemmel straight there. Absolutely no idea what on earth caused that, but it'll be absolutely devastating for him. Nevertheless, as there is Tassi just sat behind. Well, that is now damage limitation for Marco. He finds himself down in P10. He's got a lot of ground to pull up. Is it possible? Yeah. Ish. Possibly. It's going to be very, very difficult, to say the least. And oh, what's happened here? He's found himself in the wall at Pouon. That must have been an absolutely spectacular spin to find yourself that far off on the run strip. I'd be interested to see how that happens. Here we go. I think we're going to have it. It was in a fight. He had the inside line. Got round the first bit of the corner nicely. Touched the outside. And oh, just the rear end comes soaring out and hits the corner at tremendous speed, putting quite severe damage across the entirety of his car there. And that's what I'm saying about the curbs are dangerous. The curbs are so dangerous around this track because they are still soaking wet and they're all very dry. They're on dry tyres. Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting second half of this race. We're coming up on the second half mark, and oh, big tank slapper at the top of Radion, and he's just about managed to keep it in one direction. He holds P2 for now, but that could have been a terrible, terrible mistake. We'll just watch a replay here as he accelerates to 200 kph up to 210 as he hits Eau Rouge to 220 coming up the hill. Gets it pretty nicely, runs just a little bit too much over the curb and does save it very quickly, which is really important. The last thing you want to do is be waiting about to hold the save. So he's done that in good time And you know what? Fair play. Right, well, I think people are beginning to calm down at the moment. Currently on board with Mr. Kiss. He's got 7 seconds to the driver in front of him, 35 to the driver behind. So the gaps are beginning to form. It's an inevitable kind of thing that happens. You know, you can't really get away from it. That's just what happens. You do just lose. You just lose it. You know, it's impossible to stay close forever. Eventually, one person will find their groove and sort of begin to pull away. Even if it is just 3-4 tenths a lap, you know, but other times somebody can make a terrible mistake and lose multiple seconds in a single corner. And I think that might have been just what's happened here. So much wet driving has caused everybody to spread out a little bit. But not to worry, we are now dry to the rest of the race. At least that's kind of what we're hoping anyway. Look at this. For the fights, we've got a couple of drivers just behind looking to try and take a podium position. Can he? He's going to have to switch to the inside. He had the outside, now going to the in. Is he going to be able to get the dive bomb? He's not going to go for it, interestingly enough. Maybe try and get a better exit out of the hairpin and up into the run at at Rouge. I don't think it's quite going to work. No, it's not. He's going to have to sit behind for another lap. But not the end of the world. It's just about making the most of what happens. And what's happened is they're both going to go off track as he comes across daringly. He just loses the rear end of his car, and that's going to send both of them spinning into the wall down the Kemmel Straight. They recover fairly quickly, but just what happened here? Was it a rinse and repeat of what we saw earlier and getting too close on that left-hand side? He holds it together nicely through the first bit, gets a little bit too far over, cuts across, tries to re-enter the track, loses the rear end, and it's just absolute calamity for the two drivers. Luckily, the car that, you know, didn't have as much of a say in it has managed to get himself out in front and by a considerable amount of time. So that's always something you kind of like to see. Somebody that, you know, just was in a crash and he couldn't really do much about it. Coming away from the crash, at least in a fairly good position. And look at that big shake from the back of the Greensman car. He's really struggling with that rear end, with the damage. He's going to have to put a lot of work in to try and hold P6, as I think he's going to lose it now to Marco, who will be wanting to come back on a bit of a stride as we cross the half-an-hour mark of the race. As we're pretty much halfway through, we need about another lap and a bit more. But we're driving in much faster conditions. If you look back to sort of lap 2, look at that, 3 minute, and lap 3, 2 minute 50, 2:49, 2:40. Now obviously we're down to the 2:20s. Who knows? We might even break into a sort of a 2 minute 10, 2 minute 19 for some of the faster drivers. It might be plausible as the conditions do improve and improve. You know, if they can take a nice little cut at Radion once that's dried off, that will save at least a half a second, 8 tenths. And oh, what's happened there? That's P5. That's Pent going absolutely wild down towards the bus stop chicane. What on earth happened there? We're going to get a replay of it now on lap 11 of 25. So he comes up behind the car. He's going to get a decent bit of slipstream. Gets just a little bit too much onto the curb. This is what we're saying, and this is what we're seeing time and time again. This is what's causing the trouble. It's getting onto those outside curbs or getting onto the flatter curbs, thinking, oh yeah, they've probably dried off enough, and they really haven't. And it just sends you soaring, because on those slick tires, obviously you have no grooves, so you just aquaplane over them immediately. You've got absolutely no control over the car going over some of those, and there you go. That is the consequences of it. The car just slowly slides and glides away from you, and there's absolutely nought you can do about it. As we're on to lap 12 now, just running with Tassie. He's in P8 at the moment, running just a fairly solid race. It's an all-round decent running, you know, 8th, slap bang in the middle, or is it 7th? Probably 7th, that's slap bang in the middle. But either way, for the most part, running right in the middle of the race. Got a few drivers just coming out of the pit lane as well as Massa, just trying to recover the best he can. He'll be hoping to, you know, I think it's pretty much consolidation for him at the moment. The leader is beginning to sneak up on him. What's it, a 2:07 gap between them, and it's a 2:20 lap. So he's still got a solid 20 seconds to go. So it's nothing too much to be concerned about, as Sauda there going and picking up the fastest sector, purple sector 2 at the moment. So is it going to be an impressive lap from him? What's it? His fastest lap's a 28 at the moment. Fastest lap overall is a 22. We'll have a little look and see whether that changes anytime soon as he sort of becomes to make his way across the grid. Here's Marco as well. He's running fairly decently in P5. He's recovered nicely from his position, and Pence, obviously he has got that damage that he's having to live with and drive with at the moment, but overall he's doing actually a fairly solid job at managing it. I know, and there we go, dives into the pit lane. He decides actually, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with that. Sauda Audi, a 2:20.6, getting closer and closer to that elusive 19. I think it's on the cards this lap, you know. I think someone can do it. Someone's either going to have to go absolute to the wall for it to be anything of accomplishment, but it's possible. It is certainly possible. Most drivers currently very spaced out at the moment. 17 seconds between our race leader and P2 at the moment. 21 between P1 and P3. So considerably closer, that fight for P2. Sauda Audi is beginning to enter the fight. He's got a couple of seconds to go, but he's just chipping away. He's chipping away. He took home fastest lap that lap, and I think he's by a considerable amount as well. So I'd expect him to start getting involved fairly soon. Don't be surprised if anything of the likes happens. Okay, yeah, he is extending a little bit. It's hard to measure. You can't, you know, I say this, it could be another 10 laps for all we know. We have still got over 10 laps to go. We are now halfway through the race. We're halfway through lap 13, which is our perfect halfway margin. So we should be pretty much, I'd say this much time again, but it won't be because we had that wet running. Now we're sat in the 2:20s. What's it going to be? You're at least going to be one lap quicker over that 35-minute period. So I reckon we'll finish at about the hour mark, as we very well should. So still quiet in the way of fighting at the moment, but everybody just taking it nice and slowly. Here we go, somebody coming into the pits here. It's a Hungarian of the name that I'm too terrified to even try, as he's just coming out of the pits now. He's decided, well, actually we don't know what he's decided for until he comes out. It only shows us then. We'll see what he's gone for. Interesting, these racing softs that everybody sort of came out on a few laps ago are now beginning to wear. They're beginning to get fair amounts of red on them, which could definitely be seen as a bit of a worry for some people. They're going to have to change at some point. Would I go for hards? I don't really know. I can't remember when these guys came into the pit lane. About lap 9-ish. It's about 5 laps. We've got about 10 to go. I'd go hards to the end, personally. If you were going to pit soon, pit for hards. If you could hold out for another 3 laps or so, you could probably go for another set of softs, because usually, if it is wet running, you haven't got that ruling of, you know, you've got to use at least 2 sets. You've got to use both different sets. That kind of gets scrapped. So they could probably do a double soft but that's only if they can make these tyres last. So it's gonna be certainly a challenge for some of these drivers. They're gonna now start to get in the way of tyre wear rather than rain. It's just another way of making you slip about all over the place. But I doubt quite to the extent that that rain did right at the very beginning. I've got to say, that was just incredible amounts of rain. I haven't seen anything like it in a very, very long time. And as I say, all the drivers handled it fantastically as well, which you've got to give them great merit for. One thing I am noticing, there is quite a lot of damage at the moment up and down the grid. Obviously, as and when they come into the pit lane, they can serve a bit of a time penalty, but get it removed. So if they think it's hindering them so much, they can get it dropped. But I'd be worried about it, personally. Right. I'd say we'll watch some some on-track action, but this is currently the two closest cars we have. It's the fight for P2, a nice inter-podium fight. What's happened there? Driver going very slowly. He's allowed two people through. It's not like he's short on fuel, so he must have had an incident at some. It's a penalty. He's serving a 3-second penalty. Oh, that's painful. That's a really painful penalty as he just gets sat for so long waiting for the penalty to be removed, and that's lost him 2 places. And what's happened there? Someone's round. It's Tassie. Tassie into the wall. He's stepped on the throttle a little too quickly out of the bus stop chicane, and it has caused him proper trouble. So look at this. So he comes out, and yeah, just exactly as I expected. He just gets loose, and the rear just comes round a little bit too much and puts him perpendicular to the wall, the one place where he doesn't want to be. And yeah, all of a sudden, that certainly closed everything down. This fight for P2 is now a hell of a lot closer. To a quarter of a second between the two drivers. As he just looking for that opportunity to arise. There's no point in going for a wild move. There's still 10 laps of this race remaining. There's no point in, wasting a perfectly good position on a wild move. You may as well wait, take your time. So I imagine that is going to be what our P3 man is going to attempt. And I think he'll just try and stay in the slip throughout this back straight. There's no real point of going for anything during the straight. He might go for a dive bomb. He's going to have to go to the outside here at the bus stop chicane. Puts the opposition driver into a defensive mishap. Does get the switchback open, but once again is going to have to go to the outside. Is he going to go for a double switchback? I'm not too sure. He'd have to brake quite early, as he's actually got some really quite a good run here. Follows it through to the outside, gets up onto the barriers a little bit, and it's not quite going to be that time round. But he's still very, very close to the back, and he could possibly look for a move here at Eau Rouge and Radion. It would be a bit stupid to do so, and I think he agrees with that. And instead, he's going to wait for that Kemmel straight to open up. And yes, indeed, he does get it. And through goes Addy into P2 for now. But don't worry, he's back. He'll be back for more. I can rest assured on that. Well, Michaudidez is looking very strong and looking to try and make a move in retaliation, but I'm not going to say that this is the right opportunity to make it, and I think he's going to understand that as well and hold back. Wait a moment, as here we go, Marco trailing the back of the Greek. Is he gonna be able to put a fight in? Not quite, but once again, I think pretty much running a perfect replica of what's happening just in front, not wanting to risk a move out of a stupid play. You know, actually wait, hold back, wait a minute, and just make the move when the time is right, not just because there's the slightest of opportunities. It's not worth it at the end of the day. You can end up losing quite a lot of time. As well, Kaludis holding him back pretty nicely. He's not putting too much stress on the back of Marco. He's not having to fight too much. He's just sticking comfortably to the back, not putting any risk in, and just holding it in position. Oh, look at this. We got a nice little replays box here. As just behind what's happening just up towards the top of our running. I think we're on board with Sauder here. Coming out now down the back straight. Let's see what happened there. He follows out of the back. They remain the same way round they had when the overtake had been made. Nothing had changed. I think this is going to be an overtaking opportunity for him. Just in this bottom right hand corner, let's see what he can get done. It's going to have to be a move into the bus stop if he's going to go for it. Once again, going for the outside of the bus stop chicane. Swaps to the inside for a possible switchback. Back to the outside, back to the inside. Can he get it done? Not quite. He's going to have to continue the run. Is he then going to cut to the inside? No, he's going to cut to the outside with a bit of extra time. Is it going to be quite enough? Scoots round. They still fight. They continue to fight. Sauder currently miles ahead in P2, so I'm still curious as to how he got there. He's going to have to have gone and tried to do it up Rouge and Radion. Up Radion they go. Gets the good run. Gets the move made. There we go. That was where the move was made in the end. Wondered how long it was going to take to make that move, but it finally did get done. That is the thing. Out of the back of Sector 2, all the way to pretty much the start of Sector 2, the person at the back has just got an amazing run. Using the slipstream, you can just soar through. You've got all of that time behind. You just slowly gain and gain and gain and gain until eventually you can indeed get past, as many drivers have indeed done. And well, quiet towards the back of the grid, as everybody is fairly open. As not too much to report on as of right now. But we're still seeing drivers just churning out the laps. The tyres aren't looking too bad for some of these midfield runs. In fact, very good tyres for Massa. So he's recently pitted, I can imagine, to be that close, to be on such good tyres, sorry. The tyres are beginning to struggle. What, lap 18 of 25. So if you are going to come in again, it's going to have to be for softs. There's really no point in going out for another set of hards. As Melahadez got quite a gap now. 8 seconds, nearly 9 seconds. To P2. He's just gotten past and completely run away with it. It's just been an absolute soaring through as of right now. Marco sat pretty comfortably in P5, just crunching through the laps as everyone else. As he's fairly quiet at the moment. We got most people running roughly around the 220 mark at the moment, so everybody's staying fairly similarly gapped at the moment, but very, very slow from Melendez. He's struggling on those older soft tyres, and look at how much of a difference that damage is making. He's on 2:24s. His fastest times are 2:23, and the people behind him lapping 3-4 seconds quicker. So whilst they're lapping fairly comfortably, um, oh my god! Right, so our fastest lap has just been set at 2:17.6, albeit right, he's at least 20 odd seconds back, but it's possible, genuinely, with that much time getting lost per lap. What's it, 3, 4, nearly 6 seconds a lap over the course of the next 7 laps. So that is 50 seconds. That is 50 seconds. Issue is fuel. Fuel is beginning to drop. So these guys at the front are struggling on these tires. These tires are beginning to wear, but they don't have to worry too much, because they are going to have to come in soon. If not, maybe even this lap. I'm not sure how much that bar of fuel really is, how much they've got left in the tank, so to speak. So, as you're here, yeah, they'll be pitting certainly very soon. Helpfully, that'll be a huge help for Michel Andres, because he'll be able to get damage repaired. He won't want any more of that damage. That'll just be slowing him down even more. I guess the only downside is fresh set of fill up of the tank just weighs the car down a little bit more. It won't be quite as, I guess, what's the right word to use here, darty as it was before, but then it's on fresher tyres, so bit of yin and yang. It's gonna be probably fairly similar to drive, but just a bit more weighted, but a bit more gripped, rather than sort of its light, but probably the back end might be getting lost on a couple of these drivers, I imagine, by now. Blue flags beginning to get waved, interestingly enough. Our guys at the back are beginning to get lapped by the front runners. We knew it was going to happen at some point, and look at this. Claudius is going to go for the move. He's going to have to go to the outside. Is he going to be able to pull it off? He's going to have the inside for the second half of the chicane. They go through, no contact made, and I don't think it's quite going to be this time round that he's going to be able to go for the move, but he is going to have a perfectly good opportunity. Coming out of this double right-hander, he's got that very long straight to the bus stop chicane where he can get the good slipstream and he can possibly go for a move. Under pressure, all of a sudden, he's gone from being absolutely plain sailing in P3, and he's lost that P3 immediately. Drops down to P4, and he could even possibly lose P5 here. Lose P4 to P5 to Marco, who is going to get the inside line here at the bus stop chicane. Gets better on the brakes, only just though he's going to be able to slot himself in front because of that advantage. And there we go, gets himself up into P4 now. So fighting beginning to re-emerge once again in this semi-middle of the pack. They're all staying fairly close to one another, but I imagine it will die down a little bit as the Hungarian driver will lose a lot of time in the nicest way possible. He's struggling for pace in comparison to everybody else. Hopefully it doesn't end up being too bad though, but it's gonna have to be soon that these guys come into pit. I'd be surprised if that much fuel survived. You never know though. I don't know how much the fuel multiplier is, so it could just about scoot them over the edge. Obviously we unfortunately can't see that. We can only just see it dropping, but it is dropping at such a meandering rate that it is not all that much of a noticeable thing for us. It's hard to see. And well, everything beginning to quieten down once again and get back into the rhythm that we've seen so far during this race. And it's fairly calm up here in the comms box. I've actually, I've got a moment's peace to take the last sip of my drink. Isn't that wonderful? Might have to get another one in just a moment's time. I mean, these guys in the middle, don't get me wrong, they're not like miles apart from each other. Obviously, they're still pretty much all going through the same corner, but they are just spaced out enough, and fairly evenly as well, actually. About 2-3 seconds each, and they're just spaced out enough that they're not exactly in contention. As here we go, pit lane entered, the fuel light is flashing, the tyres need changing. He is finally coming into the pit lane after a 2:27 being his final lap. That is a very, very long lap, albeit he did spend a little bit of it in the pit lane, a slightly longer corner and a slightly slower corner. But the pace was dropping, and we knew that it had to be at some point. It had to come in at some point, and it's finally happened. So here we go. We're on lap 21 of 25 now, so we've got a fair bit of racing to go. A couple more kilometres. What's it? About 20-30k of racing remaining. Are people going to make it? I don't think so. I think a fair few people are going to have to come into the pit lane just to seal the deal here. I'll take, for example, this guy. I mean, the fuel gauge is struggling. Oh, the fuel gauge is struggling here. What happened? Why is he still on such low fuel? Well, he's going to have to pit at some point, because that is going to be hugely detrimental. If you run out of fuel, you're pretty much done. You get into a limp home mode, and it's about like a top speed of about 160k. You're not going to go very quickly at all. I'd be interested to see how he's going to get on here, as well as those very worn out soft tyres, but still running good laps. This is the interesting thing, right? He's on very low fuel. Okay, that will be a help. But the worn tyres, you'd think that he'd be running 22s, 23s. He's not. He's running a 2:18 last lap. But I think he's going to have to pit. He won't want to, because he's running very, very well. He's staying out for another lap. So is that fuel going to be enough? I don't know. It might just be enough. I mean, right now he's closing in on Marco at a rate of knots. So expect that to happen soon. This lap, probably next, I'm going to say. This is a second gap at the moment. 'Is he going to go for it? Is he going to go for it? He's gone for it. There we go. Back through. That's surprising, to be fair. I'm genuinely quite surprised by that, actually. I was thinking, what, a second gap. And he's closed that down so quickly. Very impressive. So, finds himself in P4. He's got 3 seconds to the next driver in front to get himself onto the podium. You never know. You know, if this... Oh, that's a very high tyre wear. And it's 21. So what's that? 3-4 second time difference? So here we go. Quick replay of it. And it was just closing down, and past. I've got to say, very, very quiet for the front runners, isn't it? There is absolutely no challenge, no challenging the front runners whatsoever. 15 seconds. That is domination. total domination as we run into the final few laps of our race. We're at 23 of 25, so you've got the remainder of this lap, the remainder of next lap, and the last lap. So 3 laps remaining, pretty much. We've only just had a little bit of 23 so far for these guys. It's 3 laps remaining now, and closing in still on the Greek. It could be a very good recovery for the driver. He displayed very good run at the start. It went a little bit wrong and he slowly closed back through. Could be a very good opportunity. But it is all quiet at the moment. Few drivers beginning to close back in here towards sort of the second half of the grid, roughly in that sort of minute gap behind the leaders of the race. Blue flags are being waved, so I don't know to what extent this is overtaking back markers and to what extent this is competitive drivers. But blue flags are certainly still out on show. So there's someone in the mix here that isn't supposed to be. Pence just losing out that position there. Kiss as well, running fairly strongly, and look at how closely. That's incredible gap closing. Now down to just under half a second as we run through the slight little lift for both drivers. One lifted, the other one puts a slight bit of brakes on. Is it going to be enough to try and get that overtake made into the bus stop? It's not quite going to be, I think, in a bit of fuel conservation, changing a little early there, I'd have said. You could have probably run that right to the very end of your timing sheets, but if you're pulling out a 219 in still under these conditions and still under these tyres, who wouldn't stay out for one more lap? If you've got the fuel to do it, which he must do to have the confidence to go for another lap. It's only a 1:19.8 for crying out loud. This is unbelievably fast, and very nearly touching the back of the car in front. He is going to not have the exit that he so hoped, but already look at how he's closing down. That'll be a move that's made up in through Radion, a move that we've seen so many times before. Ever so slightly down the grid, however, we've got the Greekman. He's currently sat just sort of pretty much in about a second's moment, and here it is, exactly what I anticipated to happen. He's gone for the outside rather than the inside, and there we go, gets the move done as he puts in a defensive shift of a lifetime. Very good defensive positioning there into the braking zone, made the most of it and got himself up into P3. It was P3, yes, I'm correct. It's a lovely little move, isn't it? I absolutely love the fact that he then cut off any opportunity to be re-overtaken. He's just nailed that in the head there. A good down the straight overtake, done perfectly to get himself up to P3. Right, well, everything is beginning to quieten down as our leader enters the final lap of today's race. And yes, interestingly, I thought these tyres and the fuel wouldn't last. They have just about lasted. I'm genuinely surprised by that. But indeed, it has lasted, and I mean, it's a bit of a victory parade lap for Pahoy, isn't it? He's put in such a good shift. Pretty much stayed so far in front of everybody else that it's pretty much written in stone about how this race is going to end. But obviously, commentator's curse could do me badly here. It could do me very dirty. And all of a sudden, a half a second time penalty for our P3 runner. It's a 3.5 second gap at the moment, so I don't think it's going to be massively affected by it. He could definitely, lose a second down that back straight, but I don't think he's going to quite lose 3. And pretty much every driver making their way onto the final laps. We've still got a few drivers with a lap remaining, but for the most part, people are now heading down that Kemmel Straight just one more time. And a penalty for the Greek. Oh, that's going to put him in a very challenging situation because he is around cars on time with him. He's got Kiss just in front of him. So he could possibly get past and, have to go for the re-overtake, or he could extend that lead just enough. But we're going to turn to our winners. It's his first win here in ZIRA, and what style he does it in. Completely uncontested for so much of the race. He sat in his own league since the track dried up. Congratulations to Pajor. It's a stunning finish, and the man who has had some ups and downs during the race nicely finishes on and up. He takes home P2 Sauder Audi, and the man who I am terrified to pronounce his name finishes in P3. We got a few penalties just at the back. You'll see how they shake up the crowd as people who were lapped come across to finish, and I think it isn't going to be any possible moves made as P4 and P5 get set in stone. Now a small gap back to our P6, 7 and 8, I believe. Oh no, just 6 as he comes across the line. He's had a bit of a wild race and all, and he comes across backwards, signifying that nicely as the car is, I think, oh, thank God it ghosted. That's to say, have a very, very major accident. As now these guys come across in tandem, and it is gonna be set in stone. There we go. That is, I believe, everybody through. One person isn't through. They're in the pit lane at the moment, getting refueled. We'll just let him be refueled, and with that, we'll be done for the day. Oh, that's our safety car, of course. As I say, he had a 45-minute pit stop. That can't be right. Righty, well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was the race. I do hope you enjoyed. It was certainly a wild one from start to finish. We had a move, I'm going to say, pretty much every lap. At least one. Even on the quiet laps, we definitely did still have something happening, which is always nice. When you're sat there and it's 5 laps and no one's moved, everyone's in the same position. It's so painful. So it's always nice to see some moves being made here and there. As the drivers pretty much do, they do a nice little parade lap as we wait for this final car to come out of the pit lane. Just overlooking now the Spa track, practically unrecognisable to how it was right at the very beginning. Do you remember the thunderous rain? I certainly do. As there we go. Congratulations to the winner, rocking the classic Red Bull gear. I'm a big fan of that. So there we go. Here's our results for today. An hour and 3 minutes it took to complete today's race. A 2:16.7 as well was our fastest lap. Very competitive, I must say. And what, a minute and 3 seconds behind. So quite open for the most part on gaps to leaders. But then again, our leader did do a spectacular job running away with it. So here we go. In first place was Pajot. In second, Adi. In P3, Sosne. In P4, Kaladis. P5, Marco. P6, Mihalades. In P7, Virtuous. I'm going to properly butcher this. Virtuosis. P8 was Pence. We'll just run away as quickly as we can. P9 was Kiss. P10, I'm scared. I'm not even going to try. P11 was Tassi. P12 was Massa. And P13, Hodorowski, who was still running. I think he pretty much pitted and stayed in for quite some time. So he technically finished, but I'm not really going to consider it. Other than that, that was today's race. I really do hope you enjoyed. I think that was a banging way to start the season. And it really does set the tone for the season to come. Thank you all very much for watching. We've got some Hungarian interviews coming very soon. But as for now, I've been the Characteristics. Thank you and good night.
Köszönöm szépen, nagyon jól érzem magam, ez egy nehéz verseny volt az időjárási változások miatt. Mivel ugye tele volt a szoba, ezért nagyon gyorsan száradt a pálya, így nagyon jól be kellett lőni, hogy mikor álljunk ki, mivel ez egy hosszú pálya, több mint 2 perces a pálya. Jó volt a stratégia, nagyon jól összejátszottunk Máté a csapattársammal, köszönöm neki a segítséget, meg a bíztatást. Igazándiból érdekes volt, mert volt gond, egy kisebb probléma az üzemanyaggal, mert kicsit alátankoltam, mint kellett, mert korábban felszáradt a pálya, mint amikor gyakoroltam.
Igen, azt sok versenyzőnél még észre lehetett venni, viszont ugye nehéz volt kiszámítani is, hiszen egy átlagot vont az esős etap alatt, és az egy kicsit több lett a szárazra, szóval ez nagyon jól lehoztátok mindegyik versenyző, aki még a száraz etapra bent maradt a pályán. Hogyha jól láttam, senkinek nem fogyott el az üzemanyagja, viszont igen, mindenki egy kicsit meg volt lőve ezzel. Viszont egy kérdésem van hozzád, egy nagyon fontos, mennyi létjogosultsága lett volna mm, az intermediate, illetve a heavyweight keverékeknek, hogyha még tovább tartják fönt a gumikat. A versenyzők nem állnak ki olyan hamar, úgymond hamar idézőjelesen. Hiszen láttuk, hogy te nagyon jól lemenedzselted ezt, viszont volt pár versenyző, akinek nem jött össze a matek, illetve eléggé szerencsétlen incidensekbe belekeveredtek, és így visszaestek a mezőnyben jó pár pozíciót. De attól függetlenül te nagyon szépen lemenedzselted. Lett volna bármi létjogosultsága ennek még? Hogy kihúzzák az esős gumikkal?
Hát ott volt egy környi idő, amikor látszott egy új felhő, ami megkavarta a dolgokat. Miután mi kiálltunk a boxba, ott utána fél körrel később arra megjelent egy újabb felhő, ami egy kicsit megijesztett, de utána 2 körön belül látszott, hogy ez egy kisebb felhő volt, és elkerülte a pályát. Ez volt az egyetlen egy kockázatos döntés ebben.
Akkor talán ez kavarta meg itt a versenyzők között a taktikát. Minden esetre te profin, te a lehető legprofibban lehoztad ezt, és nagyon nagyon nagy gratulációm ezért, és csak így tovább. Ugye ez volt úgymond az első forduló ebben a szezonban, és így hát a maximális pontokat nem, mert nem nálad lett végül a leggyorsabb kör, de viszont 25 ponttal gazdagodtál, ami egy nagyon nagy ajándék, így főleg egy spy ilyen verseny után, és kívánom neked, hogy ezt a formát, ezt végig tud tartani egészen a szezon tovább hátra levő részében.
Köszönöm szépen.
Jó éjszakát neked, Marci, és még egyszer gratulálok.
Köszönöm szépen, jó éjszakát!
És itt van velünk, aki küzdötte magát, vergődte magát majdnem, hogy a mezőny végéről egy sajnálatos baleset miatt az orvus tetején. Csoknyai Bertalan a 3. helyezett a versenyen. Hogy érzed magad, Csoki? Ez az első kérdésem mindenkihez.
Eléggé ilyen vegyesek az érzéseim, de igazából örülök, mert hát ja, sokkal rosszabban végződhetett volna ez az egész. Jó, összességében szerintem nagyon jó versenyem volt, én pozitív voltam, hogy akár meg is nyerhettem, aztán ugye történt a baleset, nem nagyon tudott szerintem mit csinálni a srác, én sem nagyon tudtam elkerülni, szerencsétlen volt, de van ilyen.
Igen, itt a race controllal is beszélgettük, a verseny alatt ugye a jobb fülemen a race control, és Gyuka jelenlétébe, és elneveztük időközben azt a halálkanyarnak. Ott nagyon, nagyon sokan eldobták, illetve balesetbe kerültek, viszont így van, még talán a lehető legjobban jöttél ki abból az ütközetből, és volt egy pillanat a versenyen, amikor gondolom kiszámítottad, ahogy szoktad fejben, hogy ha most kiállsz egy gyors kerékcserére is megjavítod az autódat, akkor még lesz sanszod, akár még a versenyt megnyerni is, de attól független, hogy nem sikerült, ez a harmadik hely, ez brilliáns, és gratulálok hozzá. Akkor mi járt a fejedben, amikor ezt a lépést megtetted?
Hát ugye néztem a különbségeket, azt láttam, hogy Ádi ugye jóval gyorsabb volt, damage nélkül, szépen hozott rajtam körönként olyan fél 3-4 másodperceket, úgyhogy azt tudtam, hogy ő is úgyis, ha kint maradok, akkor is megelőz. Üzemanyagból is kicsit keveset töltöttem, úgyhogy amúgy is spórolnom kellett volna. Aztán mindig kérdezgettem, Ádit ugye beszéltünk, mint csapattársak, mindig kérdezgettem, hogy áll mögötte a különbség. Tudtam, hogy ilyen 10-15 szek, úgy voltam vele, hogy igazából tudom, hogy nekik damage van, mert láttam például Márkót, hogy eldobja, meg láttam a mappon, hogy forognak, úgyhogy számoltam azzal, hogy nekik damage lesz, és akkor úgy voltam, hogy damage javítás, plusz üzemanyag, hogy biztos legyen, a kerék is biztos lesz, azzal se kell spórolnom, és nyomhatom végig. Aztán reméltem, hogy így el tudom kapni, azt tudtam, hogy Ádira nem nagyon lesz esélyem, de a harmadikat megcéloztam, és azt meg is csináltam, úgyhogy ilyen szempontból jó mentés volt, és örülök neki.
Igen, teljesen megérdemelt ez a harmadik hely. Még egyszer gratulálok neked, Csoki. Teljesen megérdemelt pihenésed is lesz ezután, mert gondolom kell, mert nem akármilyen forduló volt. És mit vársz a következő fordulóra? Ugye érkezik az első japán pálya, ami, hogyha jól tudom, nem a kedvenced, de mit vársz tőle?
Remélem, egy szép felavatással tudom kezdeni majd a Special Liver is fordulókat. Ugye a 2 japán fordulóra tervezek a szokásosan a Special Liveriket, úgyhogy mindenképpen szeretnék nyerni, szeretném azzal felavatni, úgyis fogok készülni, úgyhogy remélhetőleg meg is csinálom.
Sok sikert hozzá, és még egyszer gratulálok, és jó éjszakát neked. Köszönjük, Csoki.
Nektek is, és mi köszönjük a kiváló munkát a kommentátorállásban, a részkontrollban, és illetve nagy gratuláció minden sportásnak, aki
Nagyon
versenyzett ma.
köszönjük. Szia, Csoki.
Sziasztok!
And we are turning back to English. I'm trying to do my best with Marco. Hello, Marco. How you doing, my friend?
Man, this was definitely one of the races of all time. It's P5, my worst result in the championship, but in a way it does feel good, considering what happened.
Yeah, after what happened, what did you mean? There is any
I
chance, or just close your eyes and let's go whatever what will happen?
I crashed twice.
Yeah, I know. But after that,
Yeah.
did you feel any chance for any good result as this fifth position?
Not really. I was like, I just wanted to bring the car home because I knew that I had thrown the podium away, so I just focused on trying to minimize the damage. And then I realized that the fuel that I had that was like one lap short on fuel, so I had to save a lot more than I initially thought I was supposed to save, and I had to save like zero 0.1 laps uh of fuel per lap, which was very, very hard. And it eventually worked out in the end. Just that with the front bumper being broken, I lost a lot of time and it was not an enjoyable experience. But it happens. It happens. I'm happy that I got P5 despite the crash uh the crashes, but it could have been better because I feel like I had the pace to fight for something. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way.
Yeah, you made the best end after the mm, incidents. So congratulations. And yeah, don't be sad because the next round uh, is one of
Suzuka.
nah, it's not Suzuka. It will be Autopolis.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, one of the two Japanese tracks. And how you feel about this? Do you like Autopolis, or do you have any hard feelings about this track?
Um, it's I haven't done much laps at Autopolis. I'm not that good at it. I just hope that when I do some laps, it will not be as hard as let's say spawn torrential rain. Uh, but yeah, I just hope that Autopolis will be slightly better. But I know that um Autopolis has the possibility of rain, so if there is any rain, then it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, we are really excited uh, for this round and really looking for this. Yeah, congratulations, Marco. Well deserved results for you, and have a good rest after this chaos race.
Yeah, köszönöm, Balázs.
Grazie. Good night, Marco.
Good night.
So we arrived for the broadcast and end of the broadcast. I would like to thank again for everyone who click on the stream and follow us on the broadcast, and really big thanks for takes free for the raid. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And we have also a TikTok channel where we gonna update the best moments of this season, and you can catch up the best moments there. So yeah, we're gonna see you soon at next week in Autopolis, and have a good rest and have a good week for everyone. Goodbye.